I'm currently making my way through the back catalogue. I really must say it's refreshing to hear some young guys who aren't total snowflakes and still have a bit of something about them. But we don't like fishing, we don't like camping, we don't like the grass.
He might change his mind after this episode.
Yeah. What I would like to know is what you guys would do in my situation. I'm currently working through some mental health issues and working on myself. I have a woman showing me some attention in the local bar. She works there and I'm a regular at the weekends. I'm not sure if it's a good idea for me at the moment, but I do miss being in a relationship. My question is, how can I tell the difference between good customer service and actual flirting? Also, there is a large age gap of 18 years between us. Do you think age can play a part in this predicament? Hope this makes it into the show. 18 years.
I think we said it before. I think age is a number, but that is a large gap.
Which way do you think that is? Do you think that she's 18 years older than him, or he's 18 years older than her? Because that could be a big difference.
Bars being bars, I think she's probably, if we're talking about a generic scenario, I think she's probably the younger, and he's probably, say he's in his 40s and she's 22. Yeah. She's 22 and he's 40, so that's how I thought of it.
Yeah. Unless he's like a beefy 40, like he's a beefcake, I think it's just good customer service.
He could easily be. Yeah.
Yeah.
Could easily be.
It's hard.
But if you're in the bar every night, are you that beefy?
Well, I was saying there was a guy that was in Wigmore, that I can't remember what it was called, the Barrels or something. But he was a fucking tank. Like that man he drunk in there every day, but he had like 5% body fat on him. Not even that, 0.5%. Like he was veiny.
I remember that fella.
Yeah,
he was fucking massive.
Yeah. But he was in there every fucking day. It's hard to tell with a barmaid because I think if you're a good barmaid, you're good at getting tips. That's not saying you could be a good barman and still get loads of tips. But I mean, if you can flirt without it going anywhere, you're going to get more money. That's just fact.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I think we know between us quite a few guys that have fell for the trap of a barmaid. Like, normally, I've been on a few stag do's now. Normally, during a few stag do's, there's at least one fella on the stag do that falls in love with a barmaid and thinks that they want to be with him.
Yeah.
And it never happens. I think the lack of our knowledge on actually, because obviously we just get given the general situation. We're not actually in the room seeing the interaction. I think you could, from an outside point of view, you would be able to tell whether she is actually being flirtatious or whether she's just being a good barmaid.
They used to say about touching, like if she touches your hand or like puts her hand on your shoulder, but even that nowadays doesn't mean. If you're a regular,
much, yeah.
She's gonna put her hand on your shoulder and stuff like that because she knows you basically, isn't she?
Yeah.
So that's that out the window.
Yeah. She knows you from being in there daily. I think it might, we've said it many times in this podcast, I think it might actually be a thing where communication might be a good thing. I don't think turn around and say, oh, I really like you, because that could ruin your place of like comfort in the evenings, going to there to drink or whatever. Mm-hmm. But try and pick up the signals a little bit better, like see if she's being more attentive to you than the other punters in the bar, maybe. If she's like paying a lot of attention to you, it is difficult, yeah. I've never been in that situation.
What,
so
wondering?
It's hard for me to say.
Wondering. I think if you're trying to improve your mental health, I personally would leave it, because when I did that, okay, I keep talking about 2 weeks. 2 weeks. That's a lifetime, Jamie. But I felt better for it, like not worrying about women and but then the temptation's always there. Like that's what he's doing now, right? He's gone to the bar to relax, but he's thinking to himself, oh, maybe. I don't know. It's hard. Put my thinking cap on.
You could be like me as well, because I pick up on signals that aren't there.
Yeah.
Like, I am totally in my own fantasy world. I'll be like sitting at, say, like last weekend, I was playing pool with one of my good friends, and there was like a girl behind the bar who was clearly too young for me, clearly not interested in me, but I made occasional eye contact with her, and I'd be like, oh, I'm a married man. Maybe she's fucking looking at me a certain way. I'll be like, thinking, maybe I could have a little flirt here or something. But no, it's complete fantasy world. Do you know what I mean? But I can quite easily go into that, because I always think to myself, it's fucking, it's fucking. I don't know. It's a hard thing, because like I've always been mental about it. Where if I was single, I would approach straight away. Straight away, I wouldn't even hold back on that fantasy. There was time. Do you remember that really fit bird, woman? Sorry, to use derogative terms. That worked in, what was that place called? Park, behind the bar. She used to come into the shop all the time. We used to all love her. She used to have like a bop, really fit, gothic-y looking girl. Do you remember her?
Probably.
She worked behind the bar in Park. And I remember having this same fantasy thing where I think I was getting eye contact with her. And I probably was getting eye contact because I was looking at her so much, innit? And I just went straight up to her and I was like, hey, do you want my number? Should we go out? And she was like, nah. But like, that has worked before.
I always say that
forward.
I'm not pretty enough for fucking chat up lines and stuff. You know what I mean? I'm never. Nah, man, I love that fantasy. Like when you go into like McDonald's or like Burger King and you're like having a little laugh with a woman, you're like, oh yeah, she likes me. It's like, nah, she don't, but it makes you feel better. Same with like the whistling from the scaffolder. You're like, that's not.
Yeah, exactly. It gives you a little bit of self-confidence, doesn't it?
Yeah.
That's what happened to me the other day. It was like, oh, I've got a little bit of self-confidence there.
Yeah. I think in a way, I would just leave it the way it is. If you're trying to improve your mental health, I think I personally like the little bit of fantasy. Like as well, you're going there, if you're there going on the weekend, it's something to look forward to, innit? To a point and degree. You're like, oh, is she going to be working today? I might get a little bit of a flirt. And then if she isn't interested in it, you've just like crushed the whole thing, and it's a bit sort of like, don't really want to go there now, because if she's flirting with someone else.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's my opinion. I mean, that would put me off a place if I knew. I'd much rather have the fantasy of like, oh yeah, she's waiting, she's looking forward to seeing me. It's making her sort of day sort of thing, which is a really dick thing to say. I'm making her day, Jamie.
Also, if you think about it the other way, you could leave it for her. You could be leaving it for her to make her, if she is actually interested, if this guy is picking up the right signals, then eventually she'll make the move because he hasn't.
I always think to myself, like, because I watch way too many films, like if a woman's interested, and because women are a lot more upfront than guys are normally, like they'd write their number on something, you know what I mean, or like some defined way that they're making it known. But that's films.
No, have you ever had a number handed to you?
No, but I said to you before that my ex, that I should never have got with, turned to my mate and was like, who's that guy with the glasses? Come get him to talk to me. Which I should never have done, but I did anyway, because I'm a nut job. But I don't know, I kind of like that. This one, I don't know. Maybe because I've had too much to drink, I don't know. But this one stumped me a little bit because barmaids are one of those things, and barmen and that, where they're better paid if they're better at flirting and making you feel welcome and making you feel like they want you to be there. Same like
Yeah.
strippers and stuff.
Yeah.
That's why they're so good at it. So it's one of those.
Part of their job is to act interested in you.
Exactly. That's how they get their tips and stuff like that.
Mm.
So it's a real fucking. But like I said, if you're trying to work on your mental health and you feel better, giving it a break and not being with someone, even though you miss it, maybe give it a bit more time until you feel like you're definitely ready to get back on it.
Yeah. I agree.
Yeah. Because at the end of the day, you want to work on yourself and jumping back into a relationship, especially because if she is interested and you do start dating her, you're going to have to deal with her customer service with everyone else. And that, to me, that's why I could never date a barmaid, because that's their job, isn't it? To get tips and things like that. And you're like, oh, who's she talking to tonight? Who's interested in banging her? And fuck that. Fuck that.
Well, it's like a strength thing, isn't it? Like if you were to date someone that's like in a job like a barmaid where they've got constant men around them, which we both know men are dogs, especially men that hang around bars constantly.
Yeah.
Like if they're in there day in, day out all the time, they're going to be after her like she's fucking chopped liver. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And you've got to deal with that. That's another aspect to if you were going to get with her.
That's the same in the last episode with the girl that was dating the stripper, and you were like, "Oh, that's a strong woman to be able to let him go."
Yes, you have to be. Yeah, you'd have to be the strong person.
Couldn't do it. I couldn't do it.
I'm not
mad.
that person.
No.
Yeah. Some people are though. Some people get married to porn stars. People get married to. I'm not comparing a barmaid to a porn star, obviously, but people get married to like male strippers. People, but you have to be a strong person and a very not jealous person.
Yeah.
To be able to do that, and if you've got any like bone in your body that's got any jealousy in it, I would avoid at all costs.
Yeah.
Which is a point I didn't think about before we just discussed it, but that's a good point.
Yeah. It's hard. It's hard to see all that attention and stuff like that. But, and like I said, men are dogs. They don't give a fuck if you're in there with the woman and then you say, like, oh, have a good shift and that, and you leave, that person's still going to try and bang her.
Oh, 100%.
You know what I mean? So it's...
if I was single, I would.
Yeah. I said, if you're not 100% with your mental health yet, I would give it a rest, and I would just enjoy the fantasy of maybe she does, because that might give you a little like a bit of a perk. But I would work on yourself and then, you know what I mean, move forward from there.